Greetings, Steve Sketchup here, and we are on to our next AT-CPD podcast. The weather outside is decidedly white. Snowed a little bit last night. We didn't get a fat lot, but it's there. Um, I might take the dog out for a walk later on. It's not that bad. And it looks as though we're going to get more later on today. So we'll see how it goes. But the weather is decidedly iffy at the moment with the beast from the east. Took a look at the Met Office and the weather charts, looking very interesting. The way these highs and lows are all stacking up and dragging in a massive amount of polar air down across Finland, Norway, Sweden, down through there into Holland, and across because it's been blocked by I think it's a high down on the top end of Europe, and then that's bringing it across into us. And interesting to look at the way that the weather's moving at the moment, but it means that we've got a lot of cold air coming in. Of course, the people up in the north of Finland don't have a problem with it, because when I was last up there, minus 27 was just an everyday occurrence. Here it would be highlight, big news and everything. What's going on? So we live and learn with the weather. So let's look at what we've got at the moment with CPD. I was just, before I did this podcast, by the way, for those of you listening on the audio side, I am looking at my CPD website on the AT-CPD site. And that's looking rather good at the moment. We've got an archive, which I'll go into a second, but on the up-and-coming live webinars, today, actually tonight, we've got rather a good one. And it's about energy. And there's a guy or a crowd on Zoom this time, good on Zoom, I like Zoom very much, called Ivar Karinsky, founder partner of the Edge Architects in Dubai. And he's going to show about sustainability, saving energy, while simultaneously cutting capex and opex by applying a true multidisciplinary approach to the project. We'll wait and see. There is a link to the registration, and so you've got to send an email asking to be put on for it, and he'll send you all the gear, I suppose. Should be good. Then scrolling through the list, which you can also scroll through if you're not watching this video, we've got the 11th of February, which is going to be from London on Smart City Dive. Now, I have been watching, and I sign up for a lot of their emails that come through. And to be honest, I look at it and think, okay, interesting, watch, next one. But suddenly, there's some of them come up which looking very interesting. And this one's a webinar on the US re-engagement with climate change. This is seriously big news, because if Biden will come up, or President Biden, sorry, sir, if Biden does come up and does what he promises, then we're going to see some action at long last. So I'm very much looking forward to that. That's on the 11th of February. Now it's 1 till 2 Eastern Standard Time, which for us is 6 o'clock till 7 o'clock. Nice. So I'm going to watch that one. 12th of February, we've got something called the urgent radical changes required across the construction industry to respond to the climate emergency. So you've only just caught up with that. But good to see it being done. So Chetwoods are looking after that. Talene Jofferson, if I've pronounced it right, will be joining MBS Head of Technical Solutions, Paul Swaddle, to discuss how architects and design teams can achieve health sustainability goals through the informed material selection. Okay, well, good for that. Now, for all you students of mine who've been out there and always wondered if you can get into a PhD course, now I found a site called PhD Live Virtual Study Fair. It seems to be on all the time, and it is very good. Access to UK and international universities who are offering PhD opportunities. tailored advice. So you just got to send them a note and they will obviously reply. Get the latest funding information. Ace your PhD proposal. Now, a friend of mine, Alex, has just sent in his PhD proposal and it was very good. And I compared it to some of the things that they offer on here, and I think Alex has got a good chance. So go for it. Ace the proposal. Go and get the advice you need and get your proposal on top of everybody else's. And they've also got hearing from current PhD students, how they're getting on, what they're doing and everything else. So that's on the 15th of February. On the 16th, ARC Smart City Forum have got something on. Now, I'm, as you know, well into smart cities, and I'm going to attend that one. You've got to register for the forum, but again, I think it's on Zoom, and therefore they're going to send you the code. What else have we got? 31st of March, London time. Now, this one's called Time Transformation of the AEC Industry. Now, I'm looking forward to this one because it's CIT Wessex. CIT Wessex. For a 43-minute, very precise, online lunchtime CPD. Dave Weir-McCall, AEC strategist at Epic Games. Now, why the hell do we need to go towards the game industry? Very simple. Look at what we're doing in CAD and look at what's going on in the game industry. There is a massive comparison. I am very interested in this. I'm going to attend this one. Now, it's on at 1 o'clock on the 31st of March, a little way off, but, book these times in. You've got to register via Eventbrite. So go for it and have a look. So that's all I've got up to at the moment, the 31st of March. So, we've got quite a few to look forward to. Then I'm going down the list a little bit further for the general lectures with no real data structure. Now, I've already talked about architectural social. The guys up there are absolutely great. I mean, it is a fun-packed short period, but they don't half-pack some stuff in. Good chat between the two guys presenting it. I really am a fan of this place. I signed up immediately, and I'm asking all my students to go and sign up as well to keep it going. They need that sort of engagement. It's a great place. Part B, fire safety, new information is coming out. I've given a list up here, and really you should go and have a look at this. The webinar slides are attached with a pre-recording on the link below. So I've put a link down there by Beale & Co. Construction Solicitors. So that should be quite good. I've not actually seen that yet, but I'm going to have a look at it. Open Culture, I've got something on. Nice link to that. DBE, Digital Built Environment. Sign up to be into the community. There's loads of stuff on there. Absolutely load. Architects Newspaper. Now, this is an interesting place because sometimes I have free stuff, but often it's not. You got to pay for it, and it's hefty. So takes your choice on that one, but I sign up for it just because I'm interested to see what they're talking about. Noveg. Now, Noveg are a USA CAD distributor. Now, I know these guys. They're two Italian guys who run it, and they are incredibly good because they get invited guests to come on and do webinars. Now, you all know that I can do Revit. I can do AutoCAD reasonably well. But my main preferred program is Vectorworks, and they are a Vectorworks distributor. And they get some of the great guys in Vectorworks, Jonathan Pickup and his mates, all come on and do excellent webinars. So go on to the Noveg website, go and look up, sign up for their newsletter, and go and attend. They're very, very good. Often as not, they're live, but they all have the recordings done, so you can go and pick up past issues there. Digimap is really good. Go and have a look at Digimap. I've always been a very good fan of this. We all use digital maps, and they are exceedingly good at doing updates. Now, Digimap and the digital map scene is changing an awful lot. And so I think this is worthwhile going to look up. Now, you may think this idea of going to look at think tanks is interesting. Or strange for that matter. I'm a big fan of think tanks. I think they do a lot of really good work. Now, often as not, they are very expensive, but every now and again they do shows or they do webinars to show what they're all about. Now, governments use think tanks an awful lot to try and steer them or offer information which they're, in brackets, incapable, end of bracket, of researching on their own. And these guys do an awful good job. I'm a big fan of think tanks, and I've always wanted to sort out my own think tank. One day I will probably do it. Google Data Studio. Now, if you're into think tanks and anything to do with data, then you've got to have base source data. Google have got their own search engine for data. You put a subject in and it brings up sources of all sorts of free data. Now, link to the general site is up there, and also link to Google Survey Analytics. Got to have a look at this side of Google. It takes time to get into it. You've got to learn it. But once you've got into it, there is a heap, and I mean heap, of information that Google will send you through. And a lot of it is free. Go and have a look. YouTube. I'm just, go. What? You haven't been on YouTube? Get there. It's massive, full of construction stuff, from the oddball people to the real interesting timber stuff that I'm watching at the moment. Massive amounts of that is on there. Some really good carpenters showing how it should be done. Jointing, sawing, curing of timber, the right way to use the tools. Hey, if you're an AT, you've got to learn this. You've got to understand how to use timber correctly. It's going to be the next big thing. Anyway, you should be using it anyway. What else have I got? Go down there. We've got where have we got else? I'm looking down for this behind the BIM clock. Go and have a look at that. BIM, obviously, big one. You've got to be into that. COPTZ, COPTZ, thermal engineering people. Brilliant. Go and have a look at that one. Well worth linking onto YouTube and watching that. Drones, obviously, they are huge in inspection. Now, the law's just changed on the way that you use these drones. I'm not particularly sure what the update is, but it's one on my list at the moment to go and have a look and check out. We were talking about it recently in the university, and we're putting together some notes on that. Open City, Accelerate Open City. You just go and watch that one. It's there. Loads of stuff on that particular YouTube channel. Now, Stanford, massive amount of stuff up there. Go and have a look at it. Now, one site I continually follow, and that is Cold Fusion. Now, Cold Fusion is this guy in Australia who does incredible in-depth interviews or look-ats of companies around the world, events, people, whatever. Just go and watch it. Just got to go and listen to him. I listen to both the audio side and I watch the YouTube channel. Brilliant. Proctors. Now, Proctor Group are some old friends of mine from way back. I mean, almost 30 years back stuff. They are incredibly good. Their webinars are highly technical, highly pointed, and very, very well presented. Go and have a look onto the Proctor Group technical webinars. All of them are up there on their YouTube site, and they come out every other week. They haven't got one this week, so the next one should be next week. Khan Academy, loads of stuff on there if you can get on. Now, my own site, Skaze Tech, or it's skaze.co.uk, is there with loads of my slides and presentations. Please just go up and have a look. 2-Bit Da Vinci, very interesting look at the market. It's USA biased, but it is so well worth looking at. Society for the Environment, part of the CIT register for this CPD for 2 CPD courses, climate change and whatever. Yeah, go and do it. Have a look at it. 30 years into the future of internet data. My own. No, this is interesting because I asked my students last year, as you know, I am now more or less retired, and I'm going back into university one day a week and just doing the odd lecture. But last year, I asked my students to look to the next 30 years. We are 30. The internet is 30 years old. So this is interesting. And so what I said was, go and have a look at the next 30 years. Tell me what you see. How is it going to change? What's going to happen? Some interesting ideas came up. But I put my own thoughts down on a channel on YouTube, and I've collected my thoughts on that with other things. So go and have a look. Now, probably one of the best shows on the internet currently, because it could change, is Matt Farrell. He is a very technical presentator on all things technical. He strays from car batteries to his Tesla, to solar panels, to construction, through to what the last one he did was live walls, in other words, green walls. Very interesting. I think he missed out on a couple of things, which I did point out to him, not heard back from him. But go and have a look. It really is a very good site on YouTube. Now, you kind of missed it. Notre Dame burned down a couple of years back, and we started to look at this and say, at the university, one of the planner lecturers started to look at how it could be transformed or brought back to life, and he brought up a load of schemes by other architects, some of them very weird. But I'm pleased to say it looks as though that the French authorities are returning the Notre Dame to its original state, not original old timbers, but all new stuff, rebuilding it in the same way, using same techniques, same design. Now, I was in Notre Dame about 5 years ago, and it's beautiful to walk around, particularly if there's a service going on. The acoustics in there are awesome. But it's just nice to walk around Notre Dame and look at the people, the chairs, the furniture, the stonework, and you've got to look up. I mean, so many people walk around there. All they're looking at is the altar and the stuff at eye level. Turn your head upwards. For goodness sake, do this. It is fabulous. This construction up there and the vaults and unbelievable. Go and have a look at it. And I've got a new playlist which it's called Historic Updates. And I've put a link onto the site, and it's right down the bottom of YouTube. Go and have a look at it. I've just put together a playlist of all sorts of things that you might find interesting. Then they've got CIOB, CIBS, and CIAT available lectures. I mean, there are a couple out there, not many. I'm going to have to fill that one in, I think, a bit. Then there are webinars and podcasts on external sites, CPC. Go and have a look. Why are they on their separate thing? Because they've entrapped the video within their site, and I can't get a link to it. So what do? Give you a link to the whole damn thing. So CPC, I mean, you've just got to go in there and understand what CPC is all about. UK BIM Alliance, of course, the lectures there are very good if you want to be into BIM. Then the Green Building Store. Now, we had them at the university several years ago, and they were very good. So there's stuff on there. And then there's edX. It's a site for a lot of university level short courses. What can I say? Go and have a look at it. The Concrete Store. I mean, if you're into concrete, and I'll make it clear, I am not. But you've got to understand the product. So go and have a look at the Concrete Store for a load of very good information. Now, SketchUp, I'm a huge fan of SketchUp. I just love the product. I mean, I was doing a lot of work with them. We use it at the university, and, I don't care what any architect's practice says. I can guarantee there is a copy of it somewhere in every practice. It is a great product to do blocks, everything you want to do. Just use it. British standards, using data in BIM on a cruise ship design. I mean, it's just so interesting. And then there's other stuff down there. Digital Twin Fan Club, an excellent place to go and look at stuff. Ecological Building Systems, BRE Trust, Proctors, all the back issues for Proctors. And then my own podcast. Now, this podcast is also audible. And I put it up onto an RSS feed, and it goes to just about anybody. Go and look for AT-CPD podcast, and you'll find it on your own podcast player. But I am putting up show notes at the bottom down here and also on its own page, and I'll go to that in a second. But all the show notes are up there. Just go and have a look. I'm refining the notes as we go on, putting more information on, putting more links in. So, the show notes on their own are pretty well worth going and have a look at. So that's it for the current block of webinars. Now, what I've done, and I'm switching over to the archive of past webinars, and what I'm doing, I'm just putting them all here. I mean, at some point, I'm going to have to lock the ones at the bottom off simply because, the website is getting a little big. But all the past ones are there about, all sorts of webinars that I've found and put up, and now they've gone out of date and they're put up. But why are they here? Simply because, all these people often as not will put their webinars up on YouTube or wherever, or there's a store or an archive somewhere for them. Go and have a look at the site and see if there's anything up there and see if they're any good. AT-CPD, which is my website. I've got loads of stuff. I've got my own podcast show notes there with all the links into it. I'm going to update this a little bit because I've found a way of putting up a link to the actual audio side on here. So that'll be up there very shortly. And then what else can I show you? The AT-CPD. There's a lot of stuff out there that I've put up, and my site in its own entirety for what I'm looking at in lectures, and this is the one I'm going to look at today, which is digital awareness. Then the next one is going to be SUDS, suburban urban drainage. Then living walls and roofs and walkways, we can have a look at that. Then global warming and climate change, that's going to be a huge presentation. And then CPD record keeping. I've built a spreadsheet which I'll go through and show you what I've been doing and the way that I've been comparing and some of the formulas I've been using. Building pathology for the AT. You gotta. This is a must-do lecture. So go and have a look at this one when it comes up. And then for the 29th of March, which is the last one I've got at the moment, building a website in Google Sites. This, what you're looking at now, is Google Sites. It is very easy to use and it's free. Don't have to do anything. Just learn how to use it. And it's like walking in a park. It's so easy to do. So, if you're into Google, use this to present your sites. I use this with my students, and they learn it quickly to build up their own CPD and CV portfolios. And some of them go off to Wix and all the others. Fine, I have no problems with that. But why? It's just as good. So there we are. A look at all the CPD that's out there, including my podcasts. And don't ignore the other podcasts. Look on your browser and look for the podcasts that you want to go and look at or listen to. There's stacks out there. Cheers, everybody. For those of you listening, I've just had a cup of tea. Well, I'm drinking my tea. So what can we look at now? Well, let's move on to the next subject. And you'll see down here that it's digital awareness. And I'm a big fan of the internet. I mean, I've been playing on the internet in one form or another since the early 80s. And you say, okay, the internet wasn't around. No, it was. You just had to know where it was and how it was working, and it was dial-up only. So I was playing on that way before, the Sir Tim Berners-Lee put up his version, which is what we're more or less using now of the internet. I was dialing in through Unix machines and playing around on there, leaving information, a couple of chat sites. Used to be a program called Wildcat, which was a program you loaded onto your machine, and it allowed people to come into your machine and get no further. You couldn't get out of it, but Wildcat was there to put up chats, load files so people could download them if they wanted to, all sorts of things. I mean, I was into this in a big way. Would you believe it? On an Amstrad machine I had at the time. I went from a Commodore 64 to an Amstrad. What can you say? It worked until I found Apple. and then Apple was where I was for. I thought it was the last. That was the last machine in Windows or DOS, as it was those days, that I ever bought. From that point onwards, I had Macs and loved it. Stayed with them till very recently. In fact, you're watching a recording now made on the last Mac I ever bought, my MacBook Pro, and it's still going. This is what 6 years old, and it's working fine. Touch wood. And I love it. But my main machines now are Chromebooks. I mean, I do most of my writing and everything else on Chromebooks. But anyway, we're going out of the subject. Let's look at digital awareness. Or you listen to it if you're onto that. There are masses of things you can say about digital awareness. I mean, the one that university teaches, and all of them teach, is just be nice, be aware. Being unkind and bombing people and flaming them, as it used to be called, is just not on. People who come out and start feeding you with false information, it's just not good. I mean, just get away from it. If you're into it, please, rethink what you're doing. Sending emails with crap on it, just not good at all. And those of you sending out bombs and programs which will cut your machine to shreds and hold you ransom, what fun is that? Get up, get a life. If you want more on this subject, because I'm going to bow out of this one, because there are stacks of sites. The one that I particularly like is by two sisters called Emma and Charlotte Robertson. Now, I've put the link up there, Digital Awareness UK site. It is great. If you're on the audio side, go and look at the show notes, but look at the Digital Awareness UK site. It is really good if you want to know more about this subject and the help that's available. There's an awful lot of help out there if you need it. So go and have a look at it. What I'm particularly interested in this digital world is, do you really think you haven't got a digital presence? Think again, guys. Is whatever you do, whatever you say, everything, you walk down the high street, you have a digital presence. Just be aware that it's there and act accordingly. There are so many cameras around in the UK at the moment, and I don't have a problem with it. Just be aware that whatever you do, someone somewhere will be able to watch it. The problem comes when people start to play around with that information and misuse it, i.e. Facebook. You're hearing me, Facebook. This is not a good idea. So just be aware of where you are, what you're doing, and the fact that someone somewhere is probably watching you, or at least a computer is watching you. You go along the motorway, the cameras are there. They can see into your car. They can see who's driving that car. Lying is just forget it. If you're speeding, you're speeding. Own up to it, because they can tell. And if you're driving your own car, the registration's there. Once the registration's in, a heap of information is going to start piling out of the system, from your registration of your car, who you are, where you are, what you're doing, your life, then all into your bank records and everything else. It just goes on and on and on. So, just be aware that what you're doing. Walk into an airport, train station, any public place, you're on TV. So just be aware. Can it be avoided? If you want any sort of normal life, then the answer is no. Simple as that. Another gulp of tea before it gets cold. So just be aware, you can't get out of this digital life. It's there. Everything is around you. It doesn't matter what you do. You use your credit card in a store, it will record you. If you're going into the cinema, something is watching you coming in and out of that cinema. It is just everywhere. So all I can suggest to you is, live with the idea. There used to be the old thing, what was it called, the film? The Sneaker? Something, I can't remember. But it was a brilliant film, and they used to go on about, the pinpoint accuracy of cameras. Forget it, guys. It's not pinpoint. It's micro stuff. You can get right down to almost nothing from a camera up there, and they are getting better and better and better. Not because they want to spy on you, but because they want to see what's happening to the planet. And I'm all for that. So, just be aware. The internet is there. It ain't going. Well, it is actually going to change. That's the whole point of looking at the next 30 years. It will change, and how it will change is up to you and I, and making sure that it is well done. Some of the new chips coming out, the new ARM chips, are making things so much easier. A lot of Chromebooks are coming out now with it on, and they are seriously good. The university is sending me one, I think. But we'll have a look and see how it goes. References, digital awareness, obviously a link to that. And then, just as an interesting thing, it's political, I know, but just hear me on this one. The police do know that you are probably recorded somewhere, and so they will go and ask the various suppliers for the information. You commit a crime, they're going to go after you one way or another. And it's not just the police who are doing it, it's the people behind who are IT guys, and they are understanding what's going on, and they're going after the information. And so they're sequestering the information from people like Google, Facebook, anybody they think they can do it. They even now are saying if there was a crime committed, they're going after Google and saying, tell me who was in the area within a 5-mile radius. Now, that is just not on. They're trawling for people and then asking them why you were there. That is just bad. So, there has to be boundaries on this information. Just be careful. Do what you're doing. And if you're walking with your phone, then it's just recording where you are. Live with it. So that's it. End of rant. I am massive in the internet. I just think it's great. There's a load of stuff out there to do. Oh, look at that. An AT's use of timber laminates. That's wrong. I thought I changed all that. It's actually the internet. So Digital Awareness Week. So I'll change that and put it up. But, let's have a look and see what's going on. See the world out there for what it is. And I think it's great. There's a load of stuff out there to do and understand. I'm scanning loads of stuff and saving it onto my Google Drive because I can search it. It's that easy. I've got a load of stuff on Eventbrite. No, what's the stuff that I use? It's down here. It's the one where I save all my information to. It's been so long since I've used it that I am forgetting what it's called. Hanging with me there while I go and have a quick look onto my applications because it's on my Mac. Evernote. Evernote is one that I used a heap of stuff on there, and I'm slowly going through it and taking it off. Why? Because I don't want to pay for it anymore. I don't need it. I mean, Google's good enough for me. Everything I put on to keep. It's just whatever I do. It's great. So next week we've got some really good stuff coming up. I'm just flicking. If you're not listening, if you're not watching, I'm flicking through my that's the past stuff. I'm just looking to see AT-CPD. Here we go. This is what I want. Look, next week is SUDS. Very interesting climate change stuff, but looking at the way that SUDS works. The week after that, living walls and roofways and walks. Now, that's a really nice lecture. I gave it to my students last week, and it well received. Very good. And then the next one, which will probably be a very long podcast, which will be global weather and climate change. That one is well worth looking at. It's just a big subject of mine, and I'm not going to stick to the UK. I'm looking at this on a global scale. So, come along and listen to that one, and I'll put some stuff up for you. It's only going to be partly correct because I'm researching it and I'm putting a load of stuff up there. So you think, why didn't you tell me about this? Because I haven't got there yet, but I'm working on it, believe me. And then, I've spent the last 50 years detailing. I've done everything. Every single material you could possibly think of, I've probably detailed it. So come along to that one. I'm going to start to look at the art of detailing. And then building pathology is a big one for ATs. Okay, surveyors, this is where the two disciplines really do come together. Understanding how a building works before you start mucking around with it and altering it. It is that simple, but that difficult. And then building sites for, as I said before, everything I do is on Google. It is a great program. It's a good platform, and a lot of it is free. Okay, so I'm paying amounts for my storage space, but what I'm getting back in return is just huge, massive for me. So that's it. I hope you're all well. My COVID jab has just come through, so next week I'm going to get my jab, and at 68, I'm entitled to it, so I'm going to have it done, and hopefully the snow will not be around at that particular point, and we can get down to the station and have my jab anyway. Be good, be wise, stay safe, stay the distance, wash your hands, and stay indoors as much as you can. Cheers all.